a VA isn't just for, taking time off your plate when you're stressed, but it's also to let you be a human again and to let you invest into the people. Because I think that's the most important thing is, you're working to live a good life. So take that life that you can when you can and just enjoy it and let somebody else do the back end stuff so you can have that time.
Welcome back, family in the house podcast here. My name is Jenny Woon.
I am Toni Singh.
And we have a very, very, very special guest here today. And all of you listeners, it's something that you need to add to your business. We got Cassidy Joy. And today's topic is about secrets to hiring the right virtual assistant. Cassidy, welcome to our show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you for coming on. So you're a virtual assistant, short form VA. And your tagline is partnering with influencers and business owners by alleviating stress and taking over the back end work.
Yes.
Before we get into that, because there's going to be so many questions I have, and I want to get into getting to know you. First of all, what is your spirit animal?
Well, my favorite animal is a red panda. I don't know why. I just love them.
That's
but I
cute,
think
yeah.
my spirit animal would probably be a golden retriever because I'm very cuddly and loyal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That actually kind of relates to your personality in this business too. Like,
And your beautiful hair, which is blonde.
Thank you.
So the pandemic doesn't, you don't need to work into the office anymore, which kind of makes sense to have virtual assistants too. So productivity coaches always mention anything that can be done on the phone or computer can be done by a VA. So if there's anything that's not income producing directly to your tasks, then offload it to somebody else. So explain a bit of your background and your experience.
Yeah, for sure. So I actually I moved to North Van from Langley to go to Cap University because I originally wanted to be a legal assistant. And so I went through the process of school. I worked in 2 different law firms for about 3.5 years. And it was really great. I think just learning, first of all, like the professionalism of being in an office, learning the language. Obviously, I learned about real estate and companies from working in corporate and real estate law and just kind of learning like the ins and outs of everything and then administration. But very quickly, yeah, like the pandemic hit and half of the people were at home full time. And I was one of the people, since I live so close, that was in the office full time basically. And I think just going every single day and just realizing I'm like, I can do all of this from home. Like, why am I coming in every day? Like, why am I, sitting in a lunch office, like with nobody there, just spending time in this space that I feel like I really didn't need to and doing something that I didn't necessarily love. And that's where I reached out to a local realtor and I just said, I'm like, hey, in like my spare time, can I help you out? Like, do you want an assistant? She was like, oh, heck yeah, I do. So I went to her house like 2 days later and she hired me on the spot and we just started working together and just going home every single day and working in my place of comfort on something that I could do like at any time, really, when I had the time to do it. It was just really fun. And I just quickly realized like this working from home lifestyle is so great. And yeah, like, so I just started working in that aspect. And then people started reaching out and were like, hey, like we heard you're a VA. I was like, what's a VA? Like, wait, what am I? Like, what are people calling me? And so I actually looked it up and I came across a TikTok and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is a thing. So
That's cute.
I created an Instagram, started posting and just kind of went off.
So Cassidy, are there certain types of influencers or businesses that you work with? We know you work with realtors, but in general?
Yeah, I definitely started with realtors just because that's what my first client was and kind of where I started. But very quickly, I just realized that I was getting questions from everyone and inquiries from everyone. So now I don't really have a specific niche to where like I only take somebody from one general area. I just really base it on the connection and what they're looking for. If I find that when I talk to them, I can see the vision of their business, I find a piece of myself in their business, and I feel like I can kind of put it out in the world and work in it in a way that I can resemble them as well. I feel like I'm a fit. So I kind of just get to know the person, get to know the business, kind of get to know their language and just see if it works. But kind of just, yeah, like influencers, anybody that really just wants to have more time in their life, like I'm just down to help them out.
Awesome.
So before going to school for legal assistant, did you have an interest in like social media and being organized, and like what are some of the things that you have learned from your previous work experience
Mhm.
to incorporate that into what you do today?
Yeah, definitely. Like grew up as a kid, like working different jobs, like nannying, babysitting, whatever. And then I actually started working at this like really local family grocery store. And then very quickly they put me into more of an office space and just said like, okay, you know what? Like you kind of know what you're doing. You're good at giving directions. So we're going to put you in the office and kind of like be like the head office manager of the day whenever I was working. And so just sitting in like my space without all the noise and everything of like the store going on and just being able to focus on my task and to do the admin, I just loved it. So any day I was going in and I knew I was going to be in the office, I was like, I'm good. Like I just like having my space. I like putting my music on. I like having my coffee beside me and just working on the paperwork. And I just remember talking to my mom about it when I was younger, and I was like, I don't want to like work in a grocery store office for the rest of my life, but I really like administration, but I don't really like school that much. So what do I do? And she was talking to me about the legal assistant program. And of course, then suits was a thing. So I was like, oh yeah, like I'm going to be Rachel Zane. I'm going to be a Donna. Like I'm going to do this thing. Barely any school. Like let's do it. So I think just kind of being in that space of admin and paperwork and just kind of having my own space to do things and to not have to be around people all the time. It's just something that I really like. So I kind of just went with it.
Cassidy, you would be considered a very good hire because you often, when we're trying to find assistants, they want to become a realtor. So because you want to do all the paperwork, like have it all. There are
Yeah.
so many verticals in our business, as you know, and so each team member has certain responsibilities. If we were to streamline all the positions, like the inside sales agent, the transaction coordinator, the marketing coordinator, the real estate admin, can you give us specific examples or services that you do that would replace essentially all four of them?
Yeah, a
Oh, that's a big
VA.
question.
Yeah, you might have to
Go.
like remind me halfway through as I'm rambling. A VA is something that I love the idea of a VA because there's really is no boundaries of what that person can do. So in terms of marketing, like there are VAs that literally just do hands-on marketing all the time, or you can get kind of more generic VA like myself that kind of jack of all trades does a lot. So I can handle all the marketing and all the different kind of sales tools that real estate agents constantly have to do. Like a real estate agent has a million jobs. I don't think people realize that. Like you guys are staging homes a lot of times. You're selling them, like you're meeting up with clients, you're having to find them. Like there's so much that goes into being a real estate agent. And same as a VA, like we can do the marketing, we can do all the listing and closing documents. I help out with writing client cards and creating client gifts and dropping them off. Like I have relationships with my real estate agents clients. Like they text me and they're like, hey, how are you doing? Like thanks so much for doing that paperwork. I like help out with open houses and listings. Like I have sales signs in the back of my car like at all times, or like the not sale but the open house signs in the back of my car. And I think just being so versatile that we can really help out with anything and also learn anything. Like I offer free training because for me, I'm like, I want to know as much as I can. So I'll train with you for free in anything that you want to teach me, and then I'll run with it and I'll learn it. So yeah, I think that we can really step in and help with anything. But then it's also nice when you find a VA that doesn't want to be a real estate agent because we're just happy with where we're at. We're happy to learn, but then we're not going to come alongside you years from now, So, yeah, marketing,
So
we can do it. We can do all of it.
So I have a really important question because you had said it yourself. You're a jack of all trades.
Mhm.
All and I we know how much work goes
Mhm.
into a real estate business.
Mhm.
We do a lot of things. But so if you're helping a bunch of different realtors or clients for that matter as a VA, how are you structuring your day and time? Because like how are you fitting all these things in? What does a typical day look like for you?
It always looks different, which I really
We know how
love.
that feels.
Yeah.
You never really know. Like, you have a schedule and you wake up and you're like, this is what I'm going to do. And then none of those things happen and you do something completely different. But that's what I love about it. So typically, like, I wake up, I walk my dog, I do my typical things, and I just have a list of things I need to get done for that day. So each client kind of has designated hours throughout the week. They kind of choose the hours that they want, how many they want. And so then I kind of just space it out from there. And I'm somebody that I'm honestly same as a realtor. I'm available all the time. Like, I say I have my office hours to where, like, hey, call me, text me, email me during these times. But sometimes I, take the morning off and I work till 1 a.m. because I feel
Hmm.
like it that day. So every day for me, I kind of just space things out. Like, does somebody need something at this time? Social media, I can kind of prep it in like a month in advance so I can just spend a day doing that. I honestly just like look ahead, like, okay, what needs to be done for the next week, and let's schedule it in accordingly. And then if somebody calls me and he's like, hey, I need you for today, I kind of just check. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. I can like come meet you for coffee, or I can do this. And I always leave time on my schedule to actually connect with my clients as well. So it's kind of very broad,
Yeah, it
but
is.
different.
It's a Jill of all trades. And you know why Cassidy, I can tell you right now why Cassidy is a really good hire for open houses to help you with your open
Yeah, I
houses.
could see
Right
it too.
behind her. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
The
I do.
pillow behind you has
The V.
the V mark, like the
The
punch,
karate chop.
that's karate chop. That's when you know
That's
you're
hilarious. Most people
very
don't know
good
that.
attention to detail.
Mhm.
Yeah, I actually work with a home company as well, and one of them is an interior designer, and she's like so big on the karate chop and has like taught me how to
Yes.
put pillows in properly, and I love it.
A real estate agent's goal is to ultimately increase their gross commission,
Mhm.
increase their volume of transactions. Can you share with us, and I don't know how deep of conversations you usually get with these realtors, but can you share with us where you've entirely changed a real estate agent's business in those ways where they were able to increase their numbers for the year?
Mhm.
For sure. I think to, like, list a home, sell a home, help out your clients, like, that's what makes the money, is the actual like transaction being completed. It's like going out there and gaining clients, and it's spending the time of doing it. The purpose of a VA is to give back the rest of your time. So the time that when you're handling a transaction, then you go home to do the paperwork, or you go home to plan your social media. Social media is such a huge thing these days for gaining clients and, like, finding potential buyers and everything. That's all taken care of. So when you are out and about doing your job and you come home, you just send an email and the rest of it's done for you. So therefore, you have hours left in your day, in your week, to actually put more energy into making more money, into actually doing the things that create money, rather than all the pesky back end tasks that you have to do to get it
Mhm.
done, but that it's really not, it benefits you, but it's really not contributing to like your financials at all. And the thing is, like, for a VA, you're not paying overhead, you're not paying anything, you're just paying for that time. So
Mhm.
you're truly earning so much more money with the time that you get to invest back into your business. Plus, just not having to do the back end tasks and the things that drive everyone crazy. It honestly
Mhm.
makes you so less burnt out and just aggravated at the end of the day, that you actually feel more passionate to wake up the next day and to do more, because you feel like you didn't just waste 4 hours at nighttime doing social media and creating the marketing and everything else. So it really
Mhm.
helps people out.
Mhm.
Yeah, it can be draining when you've been with clients all day
Hmm.
negotiating and everything as well, right?
Mhm.
Because there's still
Yeah,
paperwork that needs to be done,
Mhm.
among other
exactly.
things. So let's go on to segment two, tips and advice. Maybe if we could pick your brain a little bit for our listeners that are
Of
listening.
course.
What qualities do you think we should look for in a virtual assistant when we're looking to hire one?
I think that based on, it's hard to, like, you don't want to judge a book by its cover, but I think actually seeing somebody's website or Instagram is a good indicator, just kind of how their style is, how their flow is, and to see if somebody's really speaking personally about themselves. There's a lot of VAs out there and they're saying the same thing, but at the end of the day, who is that person? Like, are they vulnerable? Are they transparent about who they are? Like, do they
Mm.
talk about the issues? You can say, like, oh, be a VA and get rich quick. Or I actually posted a reel being like, that's a myth. Like, it's a lot of hard work, and it just like blew up, and I have people from all over the world messaging me being like, thank you for that video, because it was actually
Yes, thank
real. Like,
you.
thank you for that. And I think
Yes.
just seeing how real that person's going to be on social media is like, how real are they going to be with you in their business? So I think, and then in the discovery call process, when you actually sit down with that person, to kind of give them the chance to speak about your business right off the bat, see if how they imagine your business, see how they would take care of your business, to actually say, like, okay, how would you handle this? Like, what do you think of my business? And just to kind of see, like, do they view it as, okay, I'm going to make money just posting social media, or do they really envision themselves in your business and feel passionate about it to do a good job? Because everyone's business is their baby. Like, that is their
Mm-hmm.
prized possession that they have grown and that they dedicate time into. So is that person going to take care of it?
Mhm.
And just also somebody that's motivated, because working from home, having your own hours, all of these different things, like, is that person going to be motivated and dedicated to your business to the point of almost where you are as well, to actually wake up in the day and to do the things that need to get done to make sure your business thrives? um, an organization. Your
Mm-hmm.
VA needs to be organized, needs to have their stuff together, because there's a lot going on. And yeah, they just need to be invested and they need to care about your business as much as you do.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good skill, is the organization. What
Mm-hmm.
other, can you name like 4 other skills that a VA would actually must possess?
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, I think transparency is huge. I think just like the basic skills of, like writing. Are they a strong writer? A little bit of creativity should always be there. You don't need to be an artist, but to be creative and to kind of take things into their own way, into, even social media or writing or marketing, or even just like the paperwork, to just not do what needs to be done, but to kind of be creative with it. Um, Organize, like, I'll say it a million times, organization's like the number one thing, because it's crazy. And I think just dependability is huge. um Honestly, I'm like
Sounds like that
big.
you have to have a very trusting relationship.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
you're handling the clientele list,
everything.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah, transparency and honest and just like vulnerability about everything is huge, because you're letting that person into your life. Like, I'm seeing your emails, I'm seeing your social media, I'm seeing everything. And so to actually trust that person and really like feel like they're taking care of you, but also not sharing anything, like
Mhm.
being very secretive about that person's business, is huge. I think that's where my law firm background is great, is
Mm.
because I'm super used to, like, this can't go anywhere. This information's private, confidential, everything. So yeah, I think just having somebody that has your back is huge in the
So,
business and in this industry.
mhm. Yeah, no, great points. I have a question then, because I've always thought this, and I'm
Mhm.
hoping that you can help me work through the question.
Of
So
course.
I always wondered, having a virtual assistant, right? You're not physically on site.
Hmm.
And so in terms of things like training the VA, or having this person support you in the best way possible for your business so that it's efficient, right? And everything's getting dealt with on the paper end. How does that work exactly? Is that kind of discovered in your discovery call with each individual client?
Yeah, I think it definitely depends, like, geographically where you are. I have some clients in the States or across the world to where Zoom is huge. Like, we are very open on Zoom. Shared screens is great, and we kind of depend on that. But other than that, I love meeting my clients in person. Like, I drive to Langley, I drive all over the Fraser Valley, like here in Vancouver. If they're somewhat local, like, I, especially at the beginning, love to just meet up at a coffee shop, at their house, just work on everything with them. And like I said, I offer free training so that they don't have to worry about, okay, well, I have to train her quickly, or I have to like rush through this, because I obviously don't want like a massive bill for 6 hours at the end of the day just for training. I'm just like, nope, let's just meet up. Let's just chat together. Let's go through absolutely everything. Like, I can sit here and do emails while you watch me, if it's like via shared screen or if it's in person, just to make sure that I understand their business fully. I understand like what goes into it, the paperwork, everything else.
Okay.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, kind
So
of just
based
depends on
on
the
that,
person.
yeah, no, for sure. That makes sense to me. So then based on that, what are some of the biggest struggles and flaws or perhaps gaps that you see agents having in their business systems?
I think the lack of like the CRM um,
Mm,
is kind
Mm-hmm.
of a problem, because a lot of people, you start your business and it kind of just snowballs and snowballs and snowballs, and then all of a sudden you have no time to get organized. So I think a lot of people just keep it going, but then they haven't really sat down. It's like, I'm going to have a system to where I'm going to put down all of my clients, all of the due dates. I'm going to input all the possession dates, everything else into a calendar. I'm going to organize everything, so then when I go and help out a realtor, it's like, okay, well, like, where's the contract? Like, where's the disclosure? Where is this? I don't know. Look through my emails. And it's like, okay, yeah, no problem. But like, then they need to go back later on and find something. And then they're spending, 30 minutes going through their
hmm
inbox. And it's like, if you just create a CRM that has everything in it, or Google Drive with, each different transaction, like the name of the listing or whatever, and then having all the documents in there, it's just really great, as well as having a calendar that has everything, so that
Yep.
you can prepare, your client cards and client gifts on time, or you can remember your clients' birthdays, or just different things like that. I think every realtor that I've worked with personally could really have a more developed organization system. And then
Mm-hmm.
I think too, just like the one thing that I feel like a lot of realtors are lacking in is just the time to actually like be a human outside of their work. I think that's where the VA comes. Every single realtor I know is like, what do you do for fun? I
Yeah.
work. And I'm like, you have a child, like you have a partner, like did you go
That's
Yeah,
hiking
true.
Toni.
this year?
Hey, I'm different now, okay? It's been an evolutionary process.
Cassidy, you're
Yeah.
definitely touching on like you not being a realtor, just helping realtors. You definitely have a really good insight of
Yeah.
our world because you talked about the CRM. Both of us have mentioned we're not utilizing our CMs to
Oh, I
its
am
maximum
now.
capacity. Well, actually, yes, very good. Props to you. And also about our lifestyle,
Yeah.
about not. I've missed so many weddings. I've missed so many parties
Me too.
because of appointments and putting
Mhm.
my clients number one. Um, we obviously incorporating you into the business and giving you training, kind of get the best of both worlds. You want to see us in person, but
Yeah.
then you're also on the go and working virtually. So
Mhm.
what are some of the tools that, like, if I'm hiring you, what should I provide to you so that you're integrated successfully to set you up for success into
Mhm.
my business?
Yeah, I honestly, I'm very blessed that my clients just give me their world. And so, like right off the bat, I am really big on obviously privacy. So I use the system LastPass to kind of gain their passwords without having it written down anywhere. Like, I have access to their emails, I have access to their Facebooks and Instagrams and kind of everything. But I think the cool thing is that I can really know who they are and know their business, to the point where like I rarely need to go back to them to ask them questions, because I'm like, oh, if I need to make a blog post, like I'll just look back on your Facebook or like your Instagram and get something. But I think just providing them with obviously like to actually tell them what's going on, like not just say
Okay.
like, hey, I need a disclosure for this, but to actually say like, hey, so this is my new listing, or like this is my new thing I'm going through, kind of letting me know all the information so I can write it down and I can have it organized, so then we can just streamline everything, because I think so many realtors
Mhm.
don't have the time to explain what's going on, and they don't even have like a moment to be like, hey, like this is the system. So to actually have
Yeah.
someone come in and just spend time with them, getting to know the whole way about it and like what's going
Right.
on, makes it so that I don't have to ask them any questions. I'm like, yep, we have a new listing, we're doing this open house on this date, like let's get her going. So I think just being really open about what's going on, um, yeah, like giving access to emails and calendars. And I do have my own program called Trello, to where I just, yeah, Trello's great. There's also things like Asana, other programs, but I use Trello, and it just kind of says like, Cassidy is working on this. Blank realtor needs to provide me with this. And it's kind of just a good tool so that they can see what I'm doing. I can tell them what I need, and just to keep everything in one space for working together.
That was going to be our next
That
question: is
yeah.
what system or tool you use to communicate with your clients?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Trello
That's
and Zoom are like the two biggest things, probably. Trello's amazing. I highly recommend it. It's free. It's really great. So it's a good tool.
Mhm.
hmm. So someone who's on a budget and wants to hire you on a trial basis, or maybe your starting package, where do you often find where what's needed the most? So obviously you do a whole list of a long laundry list of things, and
Mhm.
where do you think a client should start focusing on?
I love admin, as I've mentioned before. So I'm always gung ho to do your emails and organize anything. I think realtors to start out with, just as like a basic, obviously, not judging every single one, but for a broad, look at it, that kind of just organizing everything. So to have someone come in and to create a CRM system and to organize your inbox, or to even just answer your emails for you. I come in, I'm like, everyone knows me now as the assistant. So everyone's like, oh, hey, Cass, how's it going? I'm like, oh, hey, like, how's your kid? Happy Thanksgiving. Like, just to have that relationship. So I think starting off with like email management, calendar management, and just
Okay.
creating a CRM system is huge. And then after that, I get asked almost by every single client for social media help, because it's just so time consuming. It's
Hmm.
always changing. And instead of them having to figure out what's new, what's going on in the new trends, like, I figure it out and I just run with it for you. So social media is a huge thing I get asked to help with by everyone.
Yeah, so I'm kind of wondering, you're only allowed like 5 accounts, Instagram accounts on your phone. So how do
Yeah.
you manage that? Because
Good question.
our team actually has a problem with that, since we
Mm-hmm.
take on a lot of developer clients and they want us to manage their account. So how do you have a trick to that? Or do you have like multiple phones?
I actually was looking, I was like on Amazon like a week ago. I was like, I need to get like a cheap phone or like something for this. It's been trial and error. I think it's something that, like, I have a million different Facebook groups with like social media managers that we're always kind of bouncing ideas off each other. And that's actually one of people's biggest struggles. It's like, how do we do this? So sometimes I log in and out, but I
Mm,
always like to be available so that if they get a DM or if they get like an urgent thing, that I can just hop right in and answer it right away. But there's also different like third party websites. There's like um, later.com, which works great. And it
okay.
actually helps because you can plan your feed, like move things around, and then you can schedule it. So you just put on the time, you type in your caption, and then it just posts for you, which is literally a lifesaver. Because when,
Yeah.
Actually, sorry,
yeah,
Cassidy, question about later. Did they, because you would know better than me, did they fix the carousel option on there for later? Do you know?
They
I don't
didn't.
think
We
so,
stopped
no.
using it because
Okay.
yeah, we couldn't carousel posts in
Yeah.
advance.
It's
Yeah.
so frustrating. I actually have like four different ones that I use for like different purposes. So I think that's probably the biggest struggle for business owners and social media management. I'm gonna send an email to Instagram myself and be like, "Yo, come on, like help us out here,"
Yeah. Start the
because
petition.
literally. But yeah, I think like I have a million different third party apps. I log in and out. I do different things on my desktop. It's just kind of a variety. But I'm definitely gonna need a second
Mm.
tool or a phone or like iPad to use, but because I have too many Instagram accounts than I want to admit right now that I manage. So third party apps do help quite a bit, but you just got to find the right one.
For
Mm,
sure.
mhm.
So, and you had mentioned that for all of your clients, obviously there's a certain degree of privacy and confidentiality if you're seeing all of
Yes.
their emails, social media, etc.
Mhm.
So, is there a confidentiality agreement that is signed by you and your existing clients or prospective clients? And if so,
Yes.
what kind of length and term what does it look like?
Yeah, so I have just a basic contract that I send out at the beginning. I am someone where I do it actually month to month. A lot of people try to lock people in for about 3 months right away. But for me, like I said, I'm very transparent. I lead all of my business with just personal relationship. So for me, I feel like if they're satisfied with my work, it'll keep going. So I just have a contract month to month, this is how much it is. And then transparency and just confidentiality is huge in there. And for me, that obviously never ends. That doesn't end when the contract ends. It doesn't end when the service ends. If you ever share anything with me, it is to not be shared anywhere else. And yeah, like I think, again, like I said before, like with my law firm background, that's one thing that my clients do love, is that not a lot of people have that. And so I'm used to, like, zipping the lips, not sharing a word. I give no insight to anything. And also, just when you're working with real estate agents and working with multiple, I think it's really hard because, like there is a little bit of competition going on, especially if you're kind of in the same area.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, like if I'm working on marketing with one person, I ask them, like, what do you want? What do you expect? And I go with what they're already doing with a little bit of, like, obviously my improvements or like my tips in there. But I don't take what I'm doing with one person and putting that into the other person. I act as if I don't even know what's going on. Like I literally will sit down and I will like just give myself 10 minutes to refresh. So when I jump into a new client, I'm like, okay, this is like just who I'm working on. I know nothing of anyone outside. I think it's just like a big mindset of, like taking care of that client as if it's like your family's privacy. Every family has that one secret, that you can't share with anybody else. That it's like your parents will yell at you and be like, this doesn't go outside the household. That's how I treat my client's privacy.
But Cassie, let's be honest here. Do you sometimes take over someone's email system or CRM and you're like, what is going on here? Like, how have you been staying in this business for this long?
I bet
Like,
you that's
I'm sure you've shaken your head a couple times.
Yeah, it's crazy sometimes. I don't even know sometimes what to think, but that's because I'm just very organized. Like I have a million different folders and I have to have like my inbox empty. Like I hate notifications.
Oh,
I
I
hate
love you.
having
I love you. Oh
I like
gosh.
folders. I like everything organized. So when I go in, I'm just like, I'll literally just be like, okay, I'm working overtime. I'm not putting it on the bill, but for my sense of like need, can I please just organize this like to the extreme? And I'll just go through and like purge. Because some people too, like, I'm sorry, if you're a real estate agent and you're having a million emails a day, please have your own private email, because I'm getting Sephora emails. I'm getting like, emails from like Kylie Jenner makeup things in there. And I'm just like, no, like put this separate. So I think, just, having your personal life and work email separate is huge, and it's a lot to switch over, but hire me and I will clear it out, because emails
You'd
are
probably
crazy.
like to get a hold of my email.
Yeah.
I started
How many do you
organizing
have?
it because I love folders, like our deals are organized, but in my email, I get so many. I literally have 50,000 emails.
What?
I've
That
read them all. No, wait,
okay,
I've
you read
read
that.
them all. I
Okay.
read them all, right? But
Yeah.
I haven't had time to actually have nothing in the inbox, so they need to be deleted or filed.
A lot of those can be deleted. Like people forget about the delete button. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
that email,
Unsubscribe.
unsubscribe, delete.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
all good.
Yeah.
But we can chat after.
You would love that.
See, I told you this would be a good episode for us to,
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
start engaging. Give us some real numbers here. So, what are some of the cost savings besides, no overhead, no benefits package?
Mhm.
You're self-employed here. When someone's hiring somebody in-house and they're working from the office, they're part-time, full-time versus hiring you. I don't know
Mhm.
if you're willing to share what your packages cost. And I understand that there's 3 of them
Yep.
available and also kind of pay as you go. So tell us
Mhm.
a little bit more about your packages and what they cost.
Yeah, for sure. I think, to hire anybody in office, it obviously comes with a ton more. And like you said, like there's the overhead, there's the supplies of having that person there. You have to pay just to have them in the room. Like they need a desk, they need the electricity, they need, like the transportation to be there. And I think it's just at the end of the day too, like there's Christmas parties, there's, you know, lunch events, there's all these different things that come to play with having somebody in your office. And then I think the benefit of just having somebody that works out is you're literally only paying for the exact time that they work. And again, coming from the law firm, I know really well how to track time and to be
Right.
really obviously honest with like pausing it the second that I'm taking a coffee break, where when you have somebody in the office, they're walking around talking to people, they're going to coffee. Like I'm not working my 9 to 5 anymore in the law firm, but when I was there, I don't even know how many coffee breaks I took, or, you're sitting at your desk and you see your favorite coworker and you're like, oh, hey, like, how was your weekend? Like, you're paying for that time, for someone to be in the office. And so hiring someone that works from home saves you so much money, because you're literally only paying for those exact times that they are sitting working on exactly what you ask them, and no other time. Like, I will transfer over. If I have extra hours, I'll never just fill it with empty space or a coffee break. I'll transfer it over to the next month and I'll hold it for them. So I'm like, hey, like, let's just work. If you have more work for me next month, sure, let's do that. But like, I'm never going to, just fill it with coffee or chatting to my coworker. So for me, I'm kind of in the process of changing a few packages, but kind of how I've started out with my business is having kind of 3 different packages where it's like 3 hours a week, 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week. But I'm very flexible. If somebody's like, I want 7 hours a week, I'd be like, okay, sure, like, no problem. And then just taking that time and obviously using it to how my client asked me to use it. And so I kind of start out at around like $35 an hour is kind of my starting rate. Obviously, I have experience and I'm just really settling on that time, and I'm very honest about the time that I'm using. So yeah, I just kind of calculate it as I go, or every single time somebody books more hours with me, I actually give a bigger discount, because for me, I'd way rather spend more time with one client that I'm familiar with than having 15 to 20 different small clients that I'm having to learn as I go. So the more
Makes
hours
sense.
you book with me, like, the bigger discount you get. And I mean, I'm like the first person to send coffee to my clients, or, to drive, and I don't charge for that. And seeing them in person, like, I never charge for that, because for me, like, that's just part of the business, and that's just me connecting with my clients and having a good foundation and a good relationship. So it is definitely cheaper to hire somebody that just works from home. Like, it's amazing. So I definitely think that if somebody's interested in having someone more part-time and doesn't need somebody there every single day, that a VA is definitely the way to go, and you will be saving money as time goes on, for sure.
Can you touch on just approximately how much it'll be, other than the $35 an hour? So if you were to bring it to the 3, the 5, the 10.
Yeah, so I think I'm trying to like calculate in my head and think. I think around like 700, is 600 to 700 is kind of the starting rate a lot of the time with realtors, like what they choose, and then it goes up to about like $1,000 a month. But I mean, I do like everything. I do open houses. Like I said, I do all these different things, and it fits within that time. And I think a lot of people don't realize how much they can fit in those hours when somebody's not taking the time to do other
Distracted.
things and being
Right.
distracted. Like, when I'm just sitting down, actually powering through the work, I'm already trained for free. I already did all these things to understand your business, but I'm just sitting down to directly do that work. It goes by really fast, and like, you don't really need that many hours. So $1,000 is definitely usually the max per month, and 600 to 700 is typically where it starts for realtors a month.
Okay.
So I actually have a question about what you had said. You mentioned that for some clients, you would be responding on email, things like that,
Mm-hmm.
possibly for them if it's important. So, how does that work? Is there a general agreement in terms of how quickly you would respond to email, like 24 hours, 48 hours, especially if you're looking at hourly, right? How do you divide um, your time that way? And also, how many clients can you take on at any given time if that's going to be what you have to do for them?
Yeah, so emails are tricky because some days, you'll spend half an hour on emails. Other days, you're in there for like 2 hours, especially if it's after a weekend, um, or there's like a huge deal going on. So for me, I typically put on an auto response for people's emails, just saying like, "Hi, like, thank you so much for your email. I'll get back to you within 48 hours." But for me, like, that never happens. I take email, as obviously, as I've said, I love admin. So for me, emails come up, I'm like, done. Like, let's answer these. I'm watching Netflix, but I'm answering your email. Like, I don't care. I'm getting this done. So yeah, I typically just, like, if something urgent's coming up, I will answer that email like regardless. But if things obviously are just kind of like a friend emailing them or just like, hey, like, can I book a call sometime next week? Then, sometimes I'll let that stay to like a few hours later the next day if it's really busy. But for me, I just, it's about priorities, and it's about if that person needs that email answered, then you answer it. And so for me, like, that's where my flexibility comes in, is that I don't feel like I'm overworking by always getting to things, because I took an hour break in the middle of the day to go walk my dog or to go walk around the seawall. So if I get an urgent email at 9 p.m., like, I don't feel like, oh, it's out of hour time, like, why am I working after this time? Because for me, it's like I live this flexible life where I'm so happy to answer that email
Right.
at 9 p.m. So I answer emails right away.
No,
You
that
have
makes sense.
such a good
She's
attitude.
organized, though.
Yeah,
Gosh.
totally
And then,
organized.
sorry. So, and how many clients will you take on at any given time then?
I do it kind of based on hours. So for me, I try to kind of make myself work like 6 hours a day, at least 5 days a week. Of course, that always goes over, because when you're doing like your own business and then your own social media and everything else, I kind of work 24/7, as every business owner does and every real estate agent does. But yeah, I kind of just categorize by hours. And so some clients want 20 hours a week, other people want 3 hours a week. So I kind of just check my schedule, see how many hours I have total, and then depending on that. But I don't have a set number of clients, and I always say I'm going to max myself out and then sneak a few more in, because I just
Well, then
love
you'll
the
have to start
person.
hiring your team.
Yeah.
And then
Exactly.
That sounds exciting. Can you tell
It's
us a little bit about
very,
what your vision is with your company?
Yeah, I didn't think this was going to happen. Like, I only quit my full-time job in July. And so it's quite crazy being here, and to even like being on a podcast right now. I was like pinching myself this morning. I'm like, what is going on in my life? Like, this is crazy.
You're manifesting it.
I love it.
Exactly. Putting it out into the world. But I think just somebody that's as transparent and like genuine, like relationship driven as I am, I just want somebody that sees people's businesses and wants to take care of it. So I think just having an assistant, very similar to me in that way. Like, they don't want just another paycheck. They don't want just to get rich quick scheme, but they actually want to take care of somebody and to like nurture a business and to see it grow and to be excited. So yeah, if anyone else there is listening and wants to help a girl out with some social media or organization, like, hit me up.
We'll
But
put that
yeah.
in the podcast notes. It's like a
Yeah, for
recruitment
sure.
center too.
Yeah, but I think just somebody to just help me out and just to be excited about these businesses. But I'm very picky with my clients and very protective. So I think it's going to be a process of me finding that right person to help me out.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
just like you. I want to go back to the email comment. When you're replying to emails, are you replying as if you're the agent, or are you replying like your
As
personal
Cassidy for
assistant?
Jenny
Yeah,
or as Cassidy for Toni.
yeah.
It depends on the client. I have some, so say like a photographer that I work with, when clients initially reach out, obviously, like, you want it to be really personal. And so usually then if I respond, I'll respond as her. And then moving forward, I'll be like, hi, I'm the assistant, I'm jumping in. But for everyone else, people post on their social media like, hey, this is my assistant Cass, like, can't wait for you to get to know her. She's the contact person for the most part. And so then people just really get to know me. So I kind of have my signature that'll say like Cassidy Joy, virtual assistant to insert name. So people always know who they're talking to. I kind of prefer that, because I think, again, like, the transparency of, I like people to know kind of what's going on and who they're talking to. But everyone prefers something different. Everyone has a different way that they prefer their business. So I definitely go along with that. But I have fun with it. When people know it's me, I love it. And I just connect with people on a different level. And it's just fun chatting to people in the emails.
Yeah, and you have a great personality.
Thank you.
We are going to end our session with 5 rapid fire questions. Do you have more time for us to ask you
Of course.
just 5 more questions?
Of course.
All right. Go ahead.
Oh, me. Okay. What is your favorite movie?
Safe Haven.
Oh,
I've
I
never
haven't seen
seen
that one.
it.
That one is there a really good looking guy in that movie?
Oh yeah, what's his name? Like Josh Duhamel and like Julianne
Oh,
Hough. So they're
yes.
both
Okay.
hot, and it's a Nicholas
Cowboy.
Sparks one with like a little bit of like kind of.
Is it joyful? I should watch it then.
It's really good. There's a little bit of
Okay.
a suspense. So it's like romantic with suspense. So
Oh.
it's the one that I can make my boyfriend watch with me.
Fun.
What do you look forward to the most in 2022? That's a tongue twister.
Ooh.
2022.
I think just being more centered in my career and hopefully have a new apartment, which I'm manifesting. And yeah, I think just being more solid in myself. I think every single day, being a business owner, I'm growing more and more into who I am. And so I think just 2022 being super strong and committed and just seeing my clients growing, I'm just excited for what 2022 is going to bring to my business and just my personal life as well. So I'm super excited.
Sweet.
Awesome. Who or what is your biggest inspiration in life?
Okay, this sounds cheesy. I actually saw a TikTok last night, and it was of Matthew McConaughey at the Oscars, and he said that since he was little, he said, "My inspiration is myself 10 years from now." And somebody then asked him 10 years after and said, "Okay, like, are you now who you wanted to be?" He's like, "Well, no. My inspiration now is 10 years from now." And so he said to like be the person that you want to keep chasing and, to like always envision yourself 10 years from now and what you want to be, that because that's like the one thing that you actually can attain rather than somebody else, because that person's unique. That person got that way being their individual self, but to actually think of yourself in 10 years and to look forward to that. So I'm going to go with that answer because I found that really cool when I saw that yesterday.
I like that post
Yeah.
too. I had that one came up on my reel. How would you describe yourself in 3 ways? 3 words. 3 words.
I would say very loving, very bubbly, and very raw. I like being very like raw and open about who I am.
I love that. If you were not a virtual assistant, what career would you have? I know you're so
Especially
passionate
since you
about.
just started, it's
Yeah,
a bit harder.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would love to do something like taking care of children. I actually used to be trained to work with kids with disabilities or really hard home lives. So I would love to do more of that and to kind of be like, just have one of those kids one-on-one and just to take care of them and to just love on them and feed into their life. That would be like my number one thing I'd want to do if I wasn't a VA.
That's sweet.
Very sweet. Final question. Where can our listeners find you?
Yes, Instagram is where I hang out. I show a lot of myself on there, and I'm very honest sometimes on there. So my Instagram is @it's Cassidy Joy. I'm also on TikTok, same name. I have a website which is just CassidyJoy.ca. And yeah, I'm all over the place. So you'll find me one place and you'll find links to another.
That's a beautiful name, by the way.
Yeah, it
Thank
is.
you. Thank you. Well,
We really want to.
my last
No,
name
go
is
ahead, Steph.
Burger, like burger, like a
Oh.
cheeseburger. So I threw in the middle name instead of the last name.
So wait, but your middle name is Joy, Cassidy
Yes.
Joy Burger.
Yes.
Joy Burger. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like what an actress would do.
Yeah, I know.
Like
Yeah.
they would, work with what sounds best on social media.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went with the middle name, but that is my name.
I do love that.
Thank you.
Well, we really want to thank you so much for making time to come on our podcast today.
Thank you. I was very excited.
Yeah, no, we're excited to have you. And I think that this will be really eye-opening for some of our listeners who are looking to enlist the proper help. And so VA is a great option. And obviously it depends on, your success will depend on who you're hiring for that role.
And
Which
we often do tell on our podcast that by the time you're reaching about 20 to 25 transactions, hire an assistant. But what I'm hearing is that not every agent is good at everything. And so by being able to push a lot of the task onto you, they can just continue focusing on building their business, on the income generating tasks.
Absolutely.
So I just want to maybe mention that on this podcast because don't wait until the 25 deals. It's going to be too late then.
Yeah.
And
don't
also
wait till you're burnt out. And
yes.
One thing that I want to preach to every single realtor is that, you work so hard to financially be in that position that everyone wants to be, but like there are so many things outside of work, and I think that's where VA comes in too, is instead of you going home and working on social media or paperwork, like you can go home and you can, watch a movie, or you can spend time with your loved one, or you can kind of invest back into the people around you. So a VA isn't just for, taking time off your plate when you're stressed, but it's also to let you be a human again.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
to
nice.
let you invest into the people, because I think that's the most important thing is, you're working to live a good life. So take that life that you can when you can and just enjoy it, and let somebody else do the back end stuff so you can have that time.
It's great advice. Thank you
Thank
for
you so
that.
much. And thank you for sharing your time. We really appreciate you
Thank
just giving
you.
all these tips. And you're definitely going to hear from me. There's always things that I want to just pawn off. Um,
And me.
yeah.
Sounds
But
good.
thank you so much. And we appreciate your time. So good luck with your business expansion, by the way.
Yes.
Definitely keep in touch. And yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.